M1 MacBook Air 6-month review. What are some of the things I like about this? And what are some things I want to change? Let me get into it. Alright, welcome back to my channel, and as I've learned, let's get into the video right away. So what I want to do in this video is I want to go through, I've had this for about 6 months, I want to go through about 6 things I really love about the M1 MacBook Air, 6 things I might want to change or I don't like that much. Let's get into it. I'm just going to share you, it might not be the same for everybody, but this is my personal experience. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it in any way. I'm just going to tell you what I like, what I don't like, honest opinion, and just based on how I use it. Let's go. I'm going to go through the likes first, and then we'll go ahead and stay tuned for the dislikes because you might be shocked at a couple of them. All right, so number one like is going to be speed. There's nothing wrong with the speed of this device. This speed is actually really good. It opens up apps quickly. You can browse quickly. It does video editing quickly. I had a couple of videos. Check out my old videos when I went against my older, iMac over there with 24 gigs of RAM. It was slightly slower than that, but it still held its own. You get no really buffering or anything like that when you're doing on the timeline of video editing even. So speed and everything like that's been perfect for me. It's been faster than any of my Windows laptops. I love the speed of it. Number two, speakers. Can't complain with the speakers. You probably heard this a million times. They sound great. Again, when I compare them, I have a number of Intel laptops or Windows laptops. It's the best one. Is it as good as having a standalone good speakers? No. Is it as good as any other laptop? I would say yes. Maybe the 16-inch has got a little bit better speakers because it's got a little bit bigger, sound channel. But the speakers are great in this thing. That's number two. Number three, I'm going to go through really quickly because it's going to get more interesting, I promise. These are all kind of standard stuff. Trackpad. Trackpad's perfect. Everyone knows that. Really big on the MacBook Air compared to other Windows laptops. You can't complain. They've never had that wrong. Hopefully they don't change it. Trackpad. All right, number four is a little different. Compatibility. I was a little worried when I bought this. I was worried that some of the apps wouldn't work because of the change to the M1 chip. And I'm surprised. I've had no problems with compatibility. I've not had one app that doesn't work. Now granted, I got in a little bit later in the game, maybe in the beginning and had issues. A lot of apps ported over. They all seem faster than what they were on the Intel version of the Air. So I have no complaints there. Compatibility is great, especially when you can also run some kind of iOS apps and stuff like that. Just the compatibility in general, I've had no problems whatsoever. I just want to give people kind of there might be a specific app. Always check that if you're using something very rogue out there. No problems at all. All right, keyboard. Typing on this thing's a pleasure. It's one of the best keyboards out there. They changed it obviously to the last few years were atrocious. This is actually really good. So keyboard again is great. It's one of my favorite things. But I'm going to show you what my number one thing here is I like. So stay tuned. Let's get into that. All right, so my number one thing that I like, and a lot of people are going to be like, this is crazy, fanless. Now I know this may not be as fast as the MacBook Pro, which has the fan in it. This has no fan. I didn't realize how much I would like that. That's probably my number one thing that I like about this is not having a fan. I don't know why. It's just more of something that kind of grows on you over time. You can have it on your lap. You're watching TV. You're at nighttime in bed, maybe with your wife or whatever. No noise, just pure quiet. You don't have to worry about that humming. It's my number one feature. Believe it or not, I know out of all the things you can get in any type of a laptop, should that be the number one thing? No. Is it the thing I like the most for some reason? Absolutely. All right, let's get into the negatives. Now, these are going to be a little bit more, I guess. There's a couple of them that you'd obviously probably pick, and then there's going to be the last one I think is kind of the one that surprised me. Let's get into this now. Ports, obviously, are going to be in between, so I'm not going to deal with ports. I actually have a good hub. I have about 10 hubs. I mean, I do reviews on them, so it doesn't really bother me. I knew what I was getting into. You can complain about the number of ports, but you knew what you were buying, so that's not really a complaint. So let's just go ahead now. The first thing is kind of, these are kind of unusual that I wouldn't have thought, but it's basically going to be, being fragile. Now, let me explain. I did a video like a couple videos ago on Apple News about the screen possibly cracking if you get particles and stuff when you close the keyboard. I've also noticed that hasn't happened to me, so I can't complain with that. But also, you get those lines from the keyboards that are going to basically be on the glass, and then you got to wipe it off and stuff. Over time, it just seems like the glass is hitting the keyboard maybe a little bit more than I would like. And obviously if you drop this thing or something, the screen just to me seems a little fragile. Now build quality is always top notch for Apple, and that's one of the things they always say and everyone always raves about. But in this particular case, that was the one thing. I just don't have the same, I don't know what's going to happen long term with this thing. Again, I could be totally wrong. People will hate me, but I'm just telling you, like, it's something that's there. And I don't know if the screen's going to last that long. I think it will. I just don't know. It's too early, but it just gives me a little bit of worry. All right, battery life, believe it or not. Now, this is a pro too. I don't want to get into it. Battery life is a pro. And I probably should have added that to the pro. But anyways, long story short, it's just not what, I'm not getting what they're saying. And I might be my unit. I don't know. I've had 2 of them now. I've tried it on. So I get about 9 to 10 hours at the most. Now, granted, again, this is a positive because it's better than any Windows laptop out there that I've ever used. Positive. I don't want haters. But I'm not able to get that 17, 18 hours that everyone else is saying or some people are saying. I mean, with my workload, I don't do much. I just look at YouTube. Every once in a while I'll do video editing on this, very, very rarely. And I'll just do, YouTube and just doing my bills and stuff, whatever. I get about 9 to 10 hours, no matter which way you slice it. I don't use it every day, and it drains a little bit each time, like you're not using it overnight and stuff, so that might be the reason. But I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. It wasn't something I expected. It just makes me feel bad because that's what they're saying. It's still good, but it's just not that 18 hours for me, just for me. I don't know about anybody else. All right, number 3 is going to be, again, it's kind of like the build quality, but again, it's more quality control. And if you guys go back and watch my video where I say the M1 MacBook Air stinks. It really stunk when I got this. So I told the whole story if you watched my channel before. But I got 2 of these. The first one smelled like chemicals. I had to return it because it was making me sick. The second one did the same thing. I think it's the cord, and I had to put the cord in the garage. At the end of the day, though, the whole system stunk for a month and a half. It was really bad, and it made me just feel, I'm spending almost $1,000 on a computer. Why in the world would this thing stink that bad? It's just quality control. They had some kind of chemical on the cords and stuff. Don't know why they're doing that. They were through Best Buy. I love supporting Best Buy, but I just can't put my finger on it. So I'm just going to say quality control is one of the issues I had with it. And then my biggest complaint, which is going to be the one that most people probably won't expect, is going to be the Wi-Fi, range on the Wi-Fi of the system. So I have a bunch of Windows laptops, like I told you, some cheap Chromebooks, everything in between. I live in a kind of a concrete building. I have tons of windows and everything else, but it's really concrete. So I understand that much. But all my other systems, when I go downstairs, my routers upstairs, work fine. Totally fine. On this system, though, it tends to work fine most of the time, but it disconnects sometimes, or it's out of range where my other systems aren't. So just, again, I'm not doing a huge scientific test here. I've just had more trouble with this connecting to Wi-Fi from a longer range than any of my cheap Chromebooks and stuff, or cheap computers. So they got to get that fixed or right. I'm not sure if it's software or something like that, because I know it shouldn't be the hardware, but that was my number 1 reason why this thing's been bugging me. But beyond that, it's been great. So let me know what you think. This is, I don't have a ton of complaints. Hopefully the screen and stuff lasts, and that'll, be the thing that I'm wrong on. And build quality and stuff like that. Quality control, hopefully it didn't get me in the beginning. I think it's working fine now. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you guys agree with this, disagree? Don't beat me up over it. It's just my personal experience. I hope people understand that. Nothing too crazy there. So at the end of the day, just want to say thanks for supporting the channel. I'll make more of these if I can. We'll talk to everyone out there soon. Peace.